The Silent Hill reunion panel featuring Michael Guinn, Thessaly Lerner, and Liz Mamorsky.
Let's get ready
to rumble. That's right.
I just have a very simple question for you. What is a man?
A miserable pile of little secrets.
Thank you so much. Also,
my video.
I would highly recommend check out the death battle between Dracula and Ganondorf.
I shall.
Okay, I'll work right off the bat.
To do that again, do a take two of that.
Everybody get your phones out.
I had to actually record Castlevania on 2 different days with 2 days in between because I lost my voice. I was shouting and screaming so much, and they were like more death, Mr. Michael G, more death. And I was like, okay, So there's a lot of screaming.
Do the line again. They're ready.
Okay, you ready?
Are you guys ready?
What is a man but a miserable little pile of secrets?
The direction you got was more death?
More death.
More death.
More death.
Okay. Fascinating.
I have video games where I only did death sounds, like getting stabbed, getting cut.
I see. Very visceral.
I know. It's,
Yeah.
use that diaphragm.
Yeah.
Or get it cut out.
It's a living.
It is.
So just kind of curious, how did each of you get introduced to the project, and what was the initial reaction to first reading the script for Silent Hill 1? Thank you.
So how did you get introduced to the project, and what was the reaction after reading the script?
I think we had auditions, did we, through our agent?
So Liz and I have had the same agent since
Ever.
the 90s. Stars the agency if you want to find us. Michael is like a different story because he was over in Japan being fabulous. So I don't know how things work on your side, but on our side,
I love you already.
How it works as a voiceover actor is your agent calls you, or at the time we had pagers. It was the 90s, so they need a page.
Yeah.
It was awesome because it meant you're like, ooh, pages. When you got a page, it meant money.
I didn't even have one of those.
I had a pager. I was like, oh my god. And we auditioned, and you would audition at the agency at the time. Now everything's at your house, at your home studio.
Yep.
And then they just, page you again. That's early texting for those of you who don't know what that is, paging. And it was a one-off. It was just a one-off thing, it's just a job. Like, if you have I did The Sims 2 for 8 years. So that job was something I knew. Once I did my first gig with that, they were like, well, we're going to be doing this for a long time. And that was like, all I could see were, dollar signs and my health insurance being paid.
Yes.
That's what it means. It's like, oh my God, I can pay my health insurance.
Yeah.
We're not celebrities, we're journeymen. So Silent Hill, though, was simply a call from the agent.
Yeah.
Your books, go to the studio. Here's your money. Adios.
Yeah.
that's in San Francisco.
And you
Okay?
mentioned Sims 2. I
you're
did
in The
that
Sims
also.
too, right? We're
yeah.
also on the same
I
game.
was female elder. You were
Right.
probably child or
Teen
something.
girl.
Any hands here? Anybody from Sims 2?
Sims 2. I forgot you did that.
Yeah.
We got some Sims 2
Yeah,
people. Yeah.
okay.
I
All
forgot
right.
you were on Sims 2. That was so fun.
So that was so wonderful, and they fed us the best food because we were recording at EA Electronic Arts, and they had a great kitchen set up there. So we'd work, and then they take us and order anything we wanted, and we ate it. And those were. Can I talk a little about it?
Please. That's why we're here.
Because I am.
Absolutely. Let's get into
Those
it.
were such fun sessions,
Oh,
weren't
they
they?
were the best.
So we would work with our counterpart. Well, like female elder, male elder. So we would be in the recording booth, and then you'd have the engineer and the director out here, and they would send us pictures of this is what you're going to be doing, like. You're going to be swimming in a hot tub together, and you have to be talking about it. And so you just go, and so it was such fun. And we had to do 15, each one different. The female, the male, and and then we'd get fed and come back and work some more.
So that in that case, then you were actually in the booth with the person you were working with.
That's
So you
right.
Okay.
Yes,
Those were
a
totally
living, breathing
unique,
person.
Unique and special Sims.
Oh,
Very
God,
different.
and for years, and whoever thought that would end.
My experience in Tokyo was different, of course, because everything there is different. It's inverse in some ways. And I had actually formed my own management company because I realized what a huge cut. I think my management company was taking 40% or something like that. I was
Jeez.
just like, that's a lot. But I was getting a lot of work, and by then I was well known inside the industry. And so I formed my own company called G-Man Productions, Michael G-Man Productions. And I hired a fantastic Japanese woman who was super bilingual. She's actually Herbie Hancock's translator, wherever he used to go, and they used to do that. And so she would take all the calls because we were getting these calls, and it was just me that we were managing in the beginning. But eventually we would get these calls, and they say, like, we really like Michael G, but we want somebody new and different who sound like Michael G. You know?
Love that
And
one.
so I knew all the voiceover actors in town, so I'm like, okay, well, let's start sending other people out. So anyway, that's how we did it, and I got the call for Silent Hill in the same way.
In '96, though.
yeah,
That's an
yeah.
interesting trivia
I
tidbit.
want
Yeah.
to know how you happen to be living and working in Japan.
I went there to pay off student loans. I did. I put myself through school, and I almost paid for everything, but I still owed like $7,000 or $8,000, and that just felt onerous to me. So, you know, I did the thing, I taught English, but then I got lucky, and I
you
went in for the
started-
Sony Walkman commercial, and,
Right.
you know, took off, and I didn't have to teach English anymore.
The voice acting has this like surreal, like almost David Lynch quality to it. And it really adds to the tension in the games. And I want to know if that was intentional in the direction or in what they were telling you when you were doing that. Lisa's transformation, I still show people that when I'm like, this is why I love these games. Thank you.
So the question was, it seems like there's a lot of David Lynch influence in the voice. Surrealism, yeah, and the voice acting. And the question was that some deliberate direction, or is
No,
that...
I would say nothing like that. They just said, here are your lines, and see, and so I just said, the evil Dahlia Gillespie. That was just, her voice just had to be like that. You know, so they didn't tell me to do it. It just seemed right.
The direction I recall is they wanted hyper real. You know, they wanted not cartoony, they wanted really authentic real. I had just finished a BFA in acting where I did a lot of like crying on the floor, you know. You know, and so that, I think they did specifically cast actors who could like bring a hyper realistic performance, which I think David Lynch does. You know, really raw.
Yeah, I love the Lynch comparisons because I'm a big fan even when I have no idea what's going on in a David Lynch piece. And I'm like, why is the little person moving around in the back, you know, or something. Or that one scene, I think, where there's somebody like hiding behind a bed and they go back into that twin, you know, and it was just horrible because it's not there in the beginning, but they make you think it was there and then it's there. So I had a really different experience, and we haven't talked about it yet, but when I went in, the same thing about the technology and things like that, I was told to leave a long pause after every period and a few commas. And I looked at the director who I knew and trusted, and we get along really, really well. And I said, that's going to sound so stilted. And he goes, oh, don't worry. We're going to cut that out in post-production. Don't worry. They didn't cut it out. They did not cut it out. So you guys never heard my reading, but I wanted it to be really realistic and natural. And I don't know, something, I don't think I've done another game quite like that or voiced another game like that.
Yeah.
I do want to say that the environment that you're in as a voice actor is kind of creepy. Like it's dark.
Yeah.
You're in a studio alone. It's you and a microphone, and it usually there's like red carpet. So it's like it has it evokes it's it's a creepy environment, recording
Yeah.
studios.
Yeah.
And so whenever I've done games that where they want something really hyper realistic and sad or scary, it's easier to do in that kind of environment.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to ask this about Lisa Garland for the longest time because that was one of the saddest moments of my childhood.
Oh my God.
Was Lisa walking towards it. Spoiler alert!
Earmuffs, everybody.
Silent Hill 1, Lisa dies. It's one of the saddest moments in any video game, let alone any horror medium in general. And I've been dying to know what was the direction behind that. Did you work with Team Silent when you were recording your lines? Because you added more emotion to that than anybody could have ever imagined, and it's stuck in our collective craniums ever since we played it.
I've heard that from a lot of people. I've heard that from a lot of people.
I'm gonna cry now. So I'm an empath. I'm like a quivering heap of emotion. I really am, and I mean, you expressing that brings me to tears because my goal in life is to bring joy. It's really painful to be life. It's
Just
just
like whenever I think about, sorry to interrupt you.
No,
Whenever
we're
I think
talking.
about
We're having a
Shotzi, I
combo.
think of, like myself as Walter White being like, I'm trying to save her, and we couldn't. Kaufman's a
yeah. Listen. When a child, when a human is like a person who can't stop playing pretend and like is 100% committed, like really feeling it, like I would practice crying as a child, like in front of the mirror, because it felt good. It felt amazing, and I don't do very much drama anymore because I don't watch horror and action because it's too exhausting for me to feel that intensely. I once played Anne Frank in a play, and I did that show and I said I'm never doing drama again, I'm only doing comedy because it's exhausting to feel that way, but it's very easy for me to access those emotions. It's just like, it's what I can do. I cannot do your taxes, I'm a bad statistician, I'm not gonna like be a nuclear scientist, but I can feel it. So it's just, so.
And it can be draining.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, it's exhausting 'cause
exhausting.
it's draining.
It's draining, but it's just, the direction, as I mentioned, the direction was we want this hyper real. We want you to really feel it, and if someone's going to give me that direction, I can do that. I don't do on camera work because I like voiceover better. It's more fun. It's easier.
Yes.
I feel more free. I prefer the community.
Yeah.
And that's the world. That's the world I can be in. And accessing that emotion for me it's cathartic. I have a lot of anguish in my life, as we all do, because we're people. And I put it in a little drawer. There she is, my little anguish drawer. I can pull her out if I need to easily. A lot of people can't. It's just something I can do. It's actually, it's a little much. Like, just back in there.
When you guys were recording the lines for Silent Hill, did you ever foresee how big of a phenomenon that IP would become?
No.
Never.
No.
Vis-a-vis recording the lines for Silent Hill, do you know I never worked with another actor from the show?
Yeah.
This is the first time.
All of us.
Yeah.
We would go in and they give us our sides, which is a page of lines, stand in front of the mic, and they'd say, well, this is your attitude here. And we do it. So this is a thrill, kind of meeting somebody.
Did you guys ever hear because I think I recorded first in Tokyo and then it went to San Francisco. Did you ever hear my readings so you knew how to
I
respond
never heard
to them?
anybody's.
I never heard yours.
So that's
Ever.
interesting,
No.
because I assumed that the rest of you got to work together.
No.
Never.
Never.
So when you're in the studio doing dialogue, or you're going back and forth with the character, you're not hearing what that character is saying, how they're saying it. You're just given direction on how to perform.
Correct.
Yes.
Fascinating.
On your attitude, like she's
Right.
really angry right now.
Right.
Right.
I know.
But they're not playing the lines back to you that you're reacting to.
Correct.
No.
Well, my memory actually is that I have this visceral memory, and I could be wrong because I am old now. But like, I remember that I came in to do the role, and the guy who was cast as Harry didn't show up. I guess it wasn't. I feel like it wasn't you at first, and I could be totally wrong making this up. And so the producer, the American producer on the game, who was there, did the role and recorded it. It was down, by Battery Street, and. That was my memory, but then apparently, so maybe they were like, well, this guy he was a producer. He was just a guy, like a producer guy, and then maybe they were like, well, let's get an actor.
Yeah.
And hired you. That's what I assume happened, because I really remember there was sort of like an issue with the producers kind of freaking out a little bit. But you know.
I don't know. I
Might
mean,
be in my brain.
I ran that past the director.
What did he
did
say?
you meet Harry Inaba, the director of Silent
I
Hill 1?
think he was there.
He was the super bilingual Japanese guy.
This was in 1999.
Yeah, well, we recorded. But see, I recorded everything I did. I recorded in '96 and maybe a touch into '97.
Oh, so then I'm totally
2
wrong.
years before. Yeah.
Maybe I just remember the fact that they did have me read with a guy, the producer, as their role.
Oh.
So maybe my thought was that they had put that guy in, but it was just they wanted me to read with human. So there was an anomaly in that.
You're lucky. I never
Yeah,
got to
I
read
know.
with anyone.
I didn't either. You know, I get it.
I have a follow-up question to that, if I may. So you said you recorded most of this in 96, 97.
Yeah.
Years go by. A couple of years go by before this project sees the light of day.
Right.
As actors, when you receive a project and you're done, are you just like, well, that was fun, on to the next one, not knowing what, obviously, that would turn into the phenomenon that it did, but did you just kind of write it off and just be like, well, that was fun and we're on to the next thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
to a
what you
degree.
do. Well, it was also the olden days. Video games weren't like a big deal then.
It's
Yeah,
true.
that's
You know,
true.
There was
They've come a long
Tetris
way.
and Frogger. That was.
But I think Silent Hill 1 was the first console game, wasn't it? Something comes to mind. It was like a first.
It was very early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they did how many more versions of Silent Hill?
Several.
Wow.
Do we count PT? Yes.
So there was that, and the thing, I'll share something with you. I had been told by the producers and the director that how incredible I was. They didn't cast me again.
Me either.
Go figure.
Same
Oh,
here.
Yeah.
I'm so
No.
glad. I thought I was the only one.
Yeah.
Nope, never cast.
I could have had a death scene, you know, finally. I was good at death scenes, you know, I was like, come on, if Harry's gonna die, you know, I should be the guy who dies.
Maybe they found non-union talent and cast them.
Maybe.
on Psychor.
When you get the audition, you get the job, hopefully, and then you, as you know, a journeyman, you're moving on to the next thing. How long until this was out in the world that it dawned on you that like this is a thing, like this has kind of become a phenomenon, and especially in the video game community where Silent Hill is synonymous with the survival horror genre and is now 20-something years old. It's like generational at this point. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Close to it. So like when did it dawn on you that it's like this was not just another job?
Last year?
Last year?
I don't know, 2 years ago? Was it 2 years
It's just like one.
No, I really didn't know.
When you got the invite for RGX?
William
one
is
thing
like,
just
you know,
followed
sending me
another.
emails
Yeah.
and go, this is a phenomenon. I go, hey, that's great. You know?
Right.
I still didn't know what it meant. And
Yeah.
I'm learning from all of you, that's being my first con. This is all of our first,
First
no?
con, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're all virgins, sorry.
Wow. You know what they say, you never forget your first time.
Even if, no. But you guys are really teaching me, and I'm sure all of us in many different ways, like what this means to you. I've heard personal stories that I actually got kind of choked up. And, you know, there was this, I don't know if he's here. Well, I won't say his name or anything, but he talked about growing up in a really difficult place and time, and that this game meant so much to him. It was like this escape, this world he could go into and actually feel empowered. And last night I was at Topher's place. I don't know if you know him. He does a lot of the podcasts and things like that. And we were talking, and what I realized in a lot of ways is that horror gaming, what I'm learning is that it allows people, if they so choose, to face their fears and to go right up against the interface and go, you know, I'm there. I'm tired of being afraid of spiders, you know. I think it can break through with a lot of phobias, maybe. I don't know.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's great. Let's do a quick time check. It's 2:37. We do have.
Want to tear up. I feel like you just asked a question though that I had left my head. What did you ask?
It was, when did you realize this had become a phenomenon?
I started getting fan mail like in the early 2000s. A little bit, but it has exploded, I think, since TikTok became like this massive thing. It really, it's like, there's a new generation of fans. Like, fans are young. You know, like my nephew, he's like, well, you know, my family.
I think TikTok gives a younger generation a chance to rediscover things that have already been around for like as you know, folks a little on the older side. It's like, oh, you think that's new, like which is fun, but to them it's like they're experiencing it for the first time.
Right.
Yeah, we're retro. It's like us liking I love the Beatles.
Yep.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Maybe
you
you didn't know it was popular because you were in Japan.
No, I was back here. I moved back to Santa Barbara, where I grew up.
You were being a
From
dad.
age 16.
You were
Yeah,
raising children,
I
retired.
had a family.
Yeah.
I wrote a novel. You know,
Yeah.
I joked with some people online and said I sort of had creative ADHD, and I was like, okay, now I'm a potter, and I did. I had a wheel because I took an adult ed class and I got into it. I started making bowls. You know, why?
Are
But
you
it was
still
fun.
in Santa Barbara?
I'm still in Santa Barbara.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, come visit.
Have you guys seen a playthrough or played through the game yourselves? Have you seen it play out?
Have you seen the game play out yourselves, or have you played through the game
haven't.
yourself?
Oh my goodness.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's play on YouTube.
Yeah, there's some
I
great
haven't played
YouTube
any
links.
games.
I've never played Silent Hill. It seems too scary for me. I don't like horror.
It is scary.
Yeah,
Very
so
scary.
I don't do that.
Yeah. And I've said this when people were coming up and we were chatting individually, but one of the things that I always thought was really cool about Silent Hill 1 is that they were trying to do a really scary game, and it was actually that technology wasn't good enough to do it that actually made the game more scary, because that's why all the fog is there. You don't have to render everything in the distance. You just render that, and then these things reach out at you, you know, and it's like...
So you've played?
I've seen the walkthroughs. I didn't have the game. I actually had a copy of Ridge Racer, but yeah, I didn't have the game until recently. I think William brought me a
Yeah,
copy.
we could do a fun event where
Yeah.
we play the game and you
for the first time.
video it. I'm fully in. I love a game. I just need I just need someone to be like, press this button, do this.
Quick follow up before we get to your question. Are any of you gamers? Was there ever a phase rather where you played video games just on your own for fun?
Never.
Okay.
I love
That's
a
fair.
parlor game. I love apples to apples, charades.
Charades,
board game.
yeah.
I was actually, but I was limited by the fact that I had a Mac, and there were no consoles at all at that point, and I just found that when I was doing Marathon, the Bungie game, that was probably one of the best first-person shooters on the Mac, and I loved that. But I was so into it that it would be like daylight would be coming up, and so there was a real interesting. I pretty much did all the games you could do on a Mac, and there were no consoles, so I don't know. I took a break and
then consoles came out.
And they came out,
Changed
right.
the game. Yeah.
Well, I think you guys also have to remember we're like older, and video games were not, when I was a kid in the 80s, as I told you guys, we had Frogger and Tetris and
Pac-Man.
Pong,
Sure.
Pac-Man.
Missile Command.
Yeah, it wasn't like the compelling pulls you in. Now you have these amazing narratives that seem exciting.
Right.
What was the most terrifying scene, creature, event, etc. to you guys?
Maybe for folks who are familiar with the game, and it sounds like you two might be a little bit more familiar.
The YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
There's some pretty horrible monsters in it, and some of them don't have heads and weird things like that. And it's and like I said, I like the stuff. It's the tension in the game, and a lot of you have commented to me as well how much you love the music. And music can set a tone that really draws you in, and it has that, it's like I said earlier, it's like if Sergio Leone were to write a soundtrack or something, it would probably sound like that in a way. But so it's the tension that's created that, and not knowing what's going to reach out, or all of those things. Oh, I just got killed.
It's not the knowing; it's the not knowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite memory of voice acting in the 90s and early 2000s?
Oh, that's a good question.
Favorite memory voice acting in the 90s and early 2000s.
All right, we're going to go down the line. I would say my favorite memory. Sometimes it was actually like arguing with a director about the correct pronunciation. But all of my directors were Japanese, and it would be the correct pronunciation of a word, and they wanted me to say instead of air. And I go, nobody says and they're like, well, you are going to say Mr. Mikaji. So anyway.
The question was, what are our favorite memories from the late 90s, early 2000s in video games? Well, so Liz and I are both from the San Francisco area, and it was a gold rush in that time of video games and voiceover work. It was the .com boom, and I had just graduated college, and I moved to San Francisco, and it was incredible. There was so much work, and I was like, oh, perfect, check. Like, life, making a living, check. Because I was working all the time, and it was awesome. And then, of course, there was a downturn. Nothing lasts forever. But that feeling of abundance, and there was it was kind of a small voiceover community, so we were all friends. Yeah. And we'd run into each other at voiceover sessions, and we'd see each other at auditions, and it felt like a community, and it was awesome. So that's my answer.
And to add to that, it just felt like it was never going to end, but it was a good 10 years, I'd say. And we'd do one session and then hustle over to another studio, do another session. So you could do a number of sessions in one day. And why did it end? But it was fun, and we were all a little tight-knit group, and it was good. I miss those days. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but life goes on.
I'm assuming the very recently announced remake of Silent Hill 1, I'm assuming you guys have no involvement in that. That happens a lot.
If they're not going to tell us.
What I know is that I get contacted from time to time from people in Germany or other places saying, we're doing something for school, and would you be willing, for no money, to just lay down some tracks, and we're just kids. And I go, oh, then that's sweet. I said, sorry.
The question about whether we've been contacted for the remake?
Yes.
I haven't. I don't know if you guys have, but I do want to say that if you love us, just do a fake. Yeah. There's nothing like a grassroots campaign.
Post about it.
This is your game.
Right.
Like, we are just pawns in your game.
Exactly.
And if you make enough noise, maybe they'll listen.
Yeah.
That's
or William,
idea.
our beloved William, who's back
William
there.
Lockwood, woo!
There you go.
Love that.
Well, William had a brilliant idea too, that there might be, what did you call it? There'd be like a classic part of, even if they recast it, which it seems likely they might, but you said there is use the correct words. It's some sort of classic.
William
This
Lockwood!
is William Lockwood.
Hi, everybody. He's the reason we're all here.
Thank you very much, Mig. Was one of the people who made this happen.
Yeah.
Him and Jack Tillery. So.
Thank you so much for coming
Along
out.
with the incredible producers of this event.
Is this on? Hello?
Thank you, Ryan.
So, I've been in contact with the Bloober team. I suggest not in any official capacity, I'm just sort of reaching out. And I mentioned to them that even if they recast the Silent Hill 1 remake, which they probably will since they did that with Part 2, then it would be great to have maybe a classic mode with the original cast included.
Mode.
I actually have a poll on Twitter right now.
Ooh, oh my God, what?
I may need to repost it. It might have already expired, but if so, I'll do another one. But basically, there's a poll on RelyOnHorror.com for Twitter. Do you want the Silent Hill cast to return? Do you want them to be recast? Do you want a mix of old and new? Or do you want, I think, just new or something? There's 4 choices. Right now, we're at 43% in favor of bringing back the original cast.
That's pretty good.
And I think it's only 103 people who have voted, so that's not
very many.
that's not great.
Oh, yeah, no.
So if you want to see the original cast back, that would go a long way to, letting social media, letting the developers know that's what you'd like.
Grassroots.
And we want to get these guys back anyway. So maybe if they don't include a classic mode, maybe they could appear in cameo roles or something like that.
I'll do anything for money.
Something.
I'll play Harry's father. Don't worry.
So yeah, if you want to go on Twitter right now or after the panel, cast your vote, and hopefully we'll get these guys back.
What is that username on Twitter again?
So the Twitter name is going to be Rely on Horror, 3 words.
I'm so scary.
Yeah.
And we also have a website that covers survival horror gaming. We're covering the remake, which the new review we're doing. We're doing a couple different reviews at the moment, but yep, head on out and show your support for these guys. They're great.
Thank you.
You see the live action movie?
No, I didn't.
Is there one?
No.
Scary.
Context. Pyramid Head grabs a woman, rips her clothes off, she's naked, then he rips her skin off.
Ah.
Eek. I'm a Muppets fan.
And I know Pyramid Head had a head, but that's not a head.
Yeah.
That's
I believe there's.
About the Sims recording, I was wondering, is all of that scripted, or do you guys
It's a great question.
No.
That's a good
do
question.
the Simlish, or what?
We just create our own. And we just, and each had to be different, like, Goribiya, Ferodidi, you know, and then they would pick what they wanted. And I happened to be in the encyclopedia as the dirty joke. And the dirty joke that I made up was Tisi Wawa. So I don't know if you get to see that, but they just TC Wawa, Liz Mamorsky, dirty joke.
So those games specifically, they really want improv actors, because we're just playing the game of gibberish translator. If anyone's ever played improv, it's a very, it's a classic improv game, translator with an alien. So you have to be good at improv and gibberish, and that's all it is. And as Liz mentioned earlier, what they do is they would give us hundreds of these little animated vignettes to Sims in a hot tub, a Sim making a sandwich, a Sim putting on sunscreen, a Sim making out with another Sim. And we would just improvise 15 takes all day, 6 hours. We were like, I was BFF with the teen boy of The Sims, Jack Conti, who later went on to make Patreon, which is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I know he's a lovely human. So none of it's scripted, but the directors and the producers of The Sims, they have I think they had a narrative that they wanted to cover. They would we want you to hit these points, like make this make this sandwich more angry or nonchalant or whatever.
But they didn't have a dictionary.
No, that was made
Right.
after.
No, they made that after.
Oh, they did
They
it.
created a dictionary.
Were you able to
For
remember
Sims.
the same
No,
exact
they just
intonation?
took what I had said.
That's
Right.
great.
Wow.
So when they have something that is consistent, like Sul, for
Yeah.
instance, throughout somebody just came up with Sul in the moment, and then
Yeah, Jerry Lawler and Stephen Kieran, the Sims 1 classics. Jerry Lawler is the greatest person ever. She died a few years ago, and she was just the most funny, genius, best voiceover actor.
Yeah.
We loved her. And Stephen and Jerry Lawler came up with many things like Sul, or there's a birthday song, I think. I can't remember.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. I wonder why they didn't get hired to do more.
Well,
Why
they were the directors.
I had Claire Curtin.
Well,
as
we had
the director.
but then we had Jerry Lawler also came in.
I don't think
No, they were
maybe
the
for
adults.
your
Stephen and Jerry were adult. They were the not teens, not elders, the regular adults.
Young adults?
Oh, okay, right. They had
they were
different.
Middle-aged
Yeah.
adults? Yeah.
Ah,
Well, that's so interesting that you guys did that on Sims, because I had this weird gig that I was fortunate in many ways, because there weren't that many voice actors in Tokyo, that I didn't have to audition very often. But there was this whole Pingu thing. Remember the claymation Pingu? And they brought it over to Japan, and they were gonna, I guess they put it on NHK or something like that. And they had this huge casting call for voices. And it was the same thing, where we have no language. We just want you to look at the claymation, make sounds, and make it make sense, or stuff like that. So I just went in there and I clowned around, didn't take it seriously. I thought, oh, they'll probably have a woman doing the voices because her voice would be higher and it'll match with the, but I did a pacho, pacho, and I was doing all that. And I got the gig. and
Cast you too.
and it was, but I didn't know. I'd forgotten actually that Sims had the same thing in the made-up language.
A lot of game companies do that because you can sell it anywhere all
That's
over
true.
the world. Yay!
It's like
Make more
IKEA
money.
instructions,
exactly.
right?
Like,
It's
yay!
like, yeah.
It's for everyone.
That's cool.
No matter what language you speak.
There you
It's
go.
cool for the game people at
It
the
is.
top, the corporate
is.
overlords.
Folks, I'm so sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we do have to bring this panel to a close. Do any of you have something briefly that you want to just share to close us out, or
I have T-shirts.
T-shirt?
I want to say thank you to you all
Yeah,
for being
thanks.
fans,
Yeah.
for making the effort to come here.
Yeah.
It's really, we don't get to meet our fans very often, ever. So this is really a treat for us. Thank you.
Yeah. And they will be here all day today, tomorrow at their table. Thank you again all so much for being so generous with your time and your insight. And thank you all so much for being here. We'll have another panel in here in 15 minutes.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for hosting.
My pleasure.
Exciting.
That was so fun.
We'll be at our table. Come hang.